Alrighty, so we got the UFC welterweight strap on the line, Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. Kamaru Usman coming in with a 5-inch height advantage, 5-inch reach advantage, and a 2-inch height advantage. So he's 12-0 in the UFC, obviously very impressive run, got a few really good names on his resume that he's beaten. So he's just had a really good career in the UFC so far. For Gilbert Burns, he definitely will be the smaller fighter coming in. He's coming up from 155. Kamaru Usman couldn't make 155 if he cut off his arm. So yeah, we'll start to break down the striking of these two. Also, the fact that these guys used to train together, and Burns was the one that was calling him out and calling for the fight is very interesting, because obviously, yeah, he's going to call for that fight because he's rightfully the number one contender, and more money when you get the strap. But it's just interesting if he was getting wiped in the mats, if he was getting wiped in the wrestling room and wiped, on the stand-up, would he be calling for this fight when he's on such a hot streak and he knows that he's getting older? So, his time in the spotlight, this might be his last run for the championship. But it's just interesting that he's been persistently calling Kamaru Usman out. He must have liked what he saw in the training room. But that's just speculation. We'll just keep it straight facts with the breakdown. But yeah, that's just the last bit of speculation for me. On the feet, Kamaru, his stand-ups, I'd say it's improving every fight. He's still got a few holes in it. It's not perfect, but it's definitely serviceable. He's definitely got decent stand-up that's improving every fight. So he will frequently switch stance. He's kind of flat-footed, kind of plodding, just kind of stalks forward, looking to put the pressure on. When he switches to southpaw, mostly he's just throwing the jab. He doesn't have too much offense from southpaw. He'll throw the jab or he'll throw the teep, but that's about it. So for Gilbert Burns, he looks to land that big right hand that he did on Woodley. I think it was a left hook. Maybe it was a left hook that he caught Woodley with. But he looks to land that big right hand, and what he will do is that he'll take a big step in, or he'll lift his lead leg to pretend he's checking a kick or something like that. And then he'll use that momentum that he's taken off his lead leg with, and then he'll put it back on the ground and then come in with the right hand, and he'll use that momentum to kind of crash into the clinch, because he's not too afraid of opponents clinching up with him because he's so comfortable on his back, but also a lot of opponents don't want to take him down. But yeah, so it's just a bit of a tell that he comes in with that right hand. But when he's in close proximity, he'll look for left, right hooks. He's got decent bit of power. He seems to come into a bit of his own power at 170 that he showed a bit of at 155. But I'd probably say he has the power advantage over Usman. Burns will also mix it up with kicks as well. He'll throw the high kick. Usually that high kick is preceded by a low kick to on the opposite side of the opponent. And that's usually when the high kick's coming. For Kamaru Usman, he will kind of duck away from combinations or pressure. And he still does that. He's done that his whole career. I guess he hasn't really needed to change it because he's had so much success in the UFC, but it's a very bad way to defend yourself from punches, because he'll just kind of duck and then come up when it's all over, but he'll just kind of duck away, duck his head, so he's at about 90 degrees pretty much from his opponent. His posture's broken, but yeah, the main thing is that it obscures your vision, and you're not able to see what's coming next. Because definitely someone could come up with a knee. I don't know why anyone hasn't done it yet, but he will just kind of, duck really hard to avoid combinations or pressure. When someone's trying to pressure him, he'll kind of duck again, start looking for a double leg just to get out. And yeah, I just feel like he's a little bit uncomfortable under pressure and combinations. But also, when he's throwing his jab, his lead hand will drop. So it's just something to watch out if he's going to be an orthodox and he's throwing the jab, because Gilbert Burns is going to be looking to land that right overhand. Alright, so we'll get into the grappling where it gets interesting. So Kamaru, he'll kind of feint you, he'll pressure you up into the fence, and then he'll look for the double leg on the fence, or he'll just look to clinch up. because he's pretty comfortable in the clinch, likes to control the clinch. He'll go for the takedown if he feels like he needs to. But yeah, pretty much looking to get you onto the fence. He uses pressure to do that. He'll grab a single leg and then drive you to the fence if, he's finding it hard to pressure his opponent. Also, he'll catch a kick, drive him to the fence. Pretty much he's just looking to post you against the fence because that's where he does his best work. For Gilbert Burns, he's obviously very good. He's got a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. He's, very, very skilled on the ground. Lately, he's been less aggressive with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game. He's more focused on control and maintaining top position than he used to be. He used to be, going for submissions, ending up on his back, or pulling guard or stuff like that. He'd make it more, he'd be very aggressive with his guard and, very aggressive with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game and he would advance positions too quickly and then end up on his back, but he would be fine with it because he's so good off his back. But since the competition, the level of competition has risen for him, I've noticed he's been less aggressive with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and more focused on control, which is very good. Is good, especially against the kind of caliber of opponents that he's been fighting lately. But pretty much he looks to get you near the fence, kind of lean onto you, control you from there, get that underhook on the left side, start looking for ground and pound with his free hand. Usually it's the right hand. He's very focused on head placement and being higher than you when you're on the mat, so he'll be able to maintain control like that. Also, the way he gets the fights to the ground, he's got a pretty nice reactive double leg when his opponents come in pressuring on him. If his opponent tries to throw right overhand, he will tend to counter that with a reactive double. Saw Tyron Woodley get caught with that a few times. When he's on the ground, he will, or if he gets taken down, he'll look for an inverted guard, look to isolate a leg, and then attempt some leg locks from there just to create a scramble so he can get back to his feet. Or he will just drop down for a leg lock, just to start a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu scramble from there. So on the fence clinch, he can give up double underhooks pretty easily. He doesn't really tend to fight for them too hard. That's something Usman will look for because he'll look to grab onto those double unders and then land some knees to the body, land some punches to the body after he's got, control of the clinch. And then he'll come up top with slashing elbows. He's got a very good clinch game. So that's something where Gilbert doesn't want to be, especially with the size disadvantage that he's giving up coming into here. But also, Usman, on the mat, he seems to have trouble controlling opponents. Has a tough time keeping them grounded. Has a tough time letting off ground and pound or meaningful ground and pound. So he's not this kind of guy who's just gonna... He's not gonna Khabib you. I wouldn't say his top game is the best, but he's got very good wrestling and he's very good at getting you to the ground. Alright, so how these guys win? For Gilbert Burns, I would say he has good fight IQ. He comes in with really solid game plans and he tends to stick to them. So I'll give you a few examples, when he came in with a heavy pressure game plan against Tyron Woodley. Obviously, that's what you do against Tyron. Came in with the leg kicks against Mike Davis, which has been a flaw of Davis's game, and he seemed to pick up on that and come in with the appropriate game plan. Also, when he was versing Konchenko, he's a very good counter puncher and he's a very good striker. He put on his wrestling boots and took Konchenko to the ground and controlled him from there. Legit BJJ black belt, noticeable power in his right hand. Even at 170, seems to have a decent amount of power in the right hand. Also, he's got really nice leg kicks that he doesn't use as often as I would like him to, but it could be something that he starts using in this fight. For Kamaru Usman, he's just got a really solid MMA wrestling game. He's got very good chain wrestling. If he's in the clinch, he transitions from clinch offense to takedowns very quickly and very, very smoothly. Also, he's just got very good takedown defense. So his MMA wrestling as a whole, very solid. Strong in the clinch, really unbelievable cardio. You know, for his physique, you look at it and you would say that he probably wouldn't have the greatest cardio because he has like 1% body fat. But yeah, his cardio is insane. He was keeping up with Colby Covington. Colby Covington is, he's got a very high work rate, and he was out cardying. He was probably out enduring Colby in that fight. I think Colby slowed down at the very end. And Usman, who was just more efficient with his energy, took over at the last half of the last round. Also, he works the body like no one else. Like it's very good. That's probably why Colby slowed down, to be honest. And also, yeah, his stand-up's improving every fight. How these guys lose? For Gilbert Burns, he's got low volume. Like, he's very patient. You know, comes up with his good game plans, but he can be a little low volume at times. Also, he can be controlled and a little too passive in the clinching situations. So that's not something you want to do against Kamaru Usman, who's pretty happy to control in the clinch for around 25 minutes. So for Kamaru Usman, how he tends to lose, you know, it's not very often, but to pick a few things out. So just the striking tendencies that we talked about before. He's a little uncomfortable when he's pressured, when he's blitzed on, when his opponents start firing combos back at him. Seems a little uncomfortable to me. Also, he doesn't check leg kicks, so that's why I was kind of hoping Gilbert comes in with a heavy leg kick game plan early. I'd probably say Gilbert has the speed advantage. I'd say Kamaru definitely has the cardio advantage, but Gilbert seems okay. I've just never seen him in a high-paced fight at 170 for 5 rounds. You know, that Tyron Woodley fight was it was very slow pace. So I'd like to see how his cardio holds up in this one. So past the victory for Kamaru Usman, just get into the clinch, start bullying him from the clinch, work the body in the clinch. Once you're at range, look for the teeps. Set a pace in the first 2 rounds, which you don't think Burns will be able to keep. So, you know, obviously your cardio is insane. Let's try and bring this guy into deep waters, see what he's made of in the 4th, 5th rounds. Also, if he's gonna start throwing leg kicks, then you have to address it really quick. So start looking for a single leg or a double leg if you're just gonna blast double through it. But just look to address it real quick if you're not gonna check them. Or just throw a straight hard right. A straight hard right down the middle if he's going to drop his hands while he's kicking. But also, yeah, it kind of helps Usman that he can fight in either stance in this one, because, yeah, I think Burns will be coming in with the leg kicks. Alright, so past the victory for Gilbert Burns. I'd like to see him on the front foot. Throw combinations. Just get Kamaru a little bit uncomfortable. Just try and pressure him a little bit. Try and throw combinations. Don't throw singular strikes because he's fairly good at defending those at distance. As we talked about before, low calf kicks when he's in orthodox. Try and mix up the kicks every now and then so he isn't getting a read on them and he can take you down from there. So yeah, go low, low, high kick. You know, because if he's going to try and catch your low leg kick, he's going to be dropping those hands, start going high after that. But also, yeah, use your footwork. Footwork's pretty nice, so use that footwork to stay away from the fence. Look to end a combination with an uppercut, you know, just because he will be ducking, as we talked about before, that tendency that he has to duck when his opponent's just bombing combinations on him. So how I see this fight going down, it's very difficult to pick against Usman, you know, just with how he's looked in the UFC. But this is a fight where, you know, Gilbert can make him uncomfortable pretty much everywhere. Like, on the ground, you know, he usually has a safe place when he's on top position and he's just controlling his opponent's spot. This is probably the first time that someone's going to really threaten him off his back, and then look for offense instead of just trying to get up off bottom. He's going to start looking for offense off his back. Also on the feet, Gilbert, I'd probably say, is the better striking, if I'm being honest. So he's going to be uncomfortable on the feet. He's going to be uncomfortable after taking down Burns. So there's no place really to rest for Usman, whereas normally he's able to rest in top position and kind of control the fight from there. I'd probably say in the clinch, he'll be able to control that fairly easily, and he'll be able to feel a little bit more comfortable in that position. But everywhere else, it's going to make him uncomfortable. So we'll see how he reacts. He's the champion for a reason. He'll probably just adapt to it, but it'll be something new for him. So I have to lean Usman just because, the proven cardio, the clinch game, just like he's just a beast. Like there's no two ways around it. Also, he could definitely get his wrestling game on and, control Burns on top. He's shown that in the past, but he definitely cannot rest on his laurels on top position. But yeah, I just think Usman is probably going to outvolume him as well. So I got to go with Usman by decision, but I'm not as confident as the betting line is. All right, so yeah, prediction is Usman by decision. I don't think he gets Burns out of there. But yeah, so we'll look at the line. So I think it's a little bit high for Usman at the moment. I'm expecting the line to go even higher for Usman. I think he'll end up at about $1.30, in my opinion. And I'm kind of hoping for Burns at like $3.50. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. But in my opinion, anything above $3 is probably value for Burns. Because I line this fight at around 60% for Usman and 40% for Burns. Because I've been really impressed with Burns as he's come up from as he's come up from light heavy. As he's come up from lightweight. I've been really impressed with his run that he's put together. And also, just stylistically, I think this is a tough matchup for Usman. He's definitely going to be tested. We're just definitely going to see if this guy is human, and if he ever, what he does when he faces adversity. But yeah, I kind of expect Usman to be more of a favourite come fight night. So I'm kind of hoping for $3.50 Burns or plus $2.50 Burns for the American guys. So I'm kind of waiting out for that. But anything above $3 is value, in my opinion.